Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for joining me on this adventure. Hope everybody had a good Christmas and a good New Year's. Hope everybody's doing fantastic. I'm on another adventure today, and if I look like I'm cold, it's because I am. It is a nasty, rainy day out here, but as you can see from the background, I'm in another cemetery, which means, yes, it is another famous grave tour. Starting the video off here in Hilldale Cemetery, which is just kind of near Bloomington, Indiana. And there's a very famous classic rock and roll musician, singer, buried just right over here. Here's the final resting place of classic rock and roll artist, Mr. Bobby Helms. Mr. Helms originally started with his brother and father at the Monroe County Jamboree, calling themselves the Helms Brothers. Later, after Ernest Tubb talked him into moving to Nashville to sing backup for him, Tubb was so impressed that he helped him get a record deal. And in 1957, he would release what would be his signature song, Jingle Bell Rock, hitting number 6 on the pop charts. This next grave is quite strange. It's not a celebrity, not a singer or songwriter or anything like that. So what makes this place really weird is that the grave is in the middle of a road. And it sits right here, back behind here in the middle of the road. And that where that concrete is, that's a grave right there. Come here, I'll show you a little bit more about that. So back in the 1800s, this is all just nothing out through here. And a lady by the name of Nancy Barnett, this was like her favorite spot, and she requested to be buried here when she passed. And over the years, you could see they have done things, and they built a road, but they did not go over the top of her grave. When they went to widen this road out, they uncovered her grave, and not just the grave of her, but 7 others down in here too. And after years of fighting and fussing, they decided to go around her grave. And she was the first person to be buried over in this area, actually. And soon after, there's more people buried out here and lots of fighting and fussing. So now today, she lays to rest right here, as well as other people. And you can come out here and you can read about this. You can come out here, look at this grave. You can also, there's a marker over there about this. It's truly amazing, this little grave out here. If you decide to come out here, you need to be extremely careful. As you can see, this is a active road out here. So you gotta be really careful if you come out here and check this grave out. This grave is actually located a little bit to the east of Martinsville, where I just was at. Yeah, I go a little east, about 30 minutes out here in the middle of this county road, and you'll find it right out here. And you can do some Google searching, and you can find more info about this grave. Well, we pushed off a little east of where we was a few minutes ago, and it's still rainy and still plenty cold out here. But we're in Brookville, Indiana, at Maple Grove Cemetery, and if I could work my magic, I would shut this rain off and make it nice and sunny and warm out, but I ain't no magician. And I'm not a YouTube vlogger neither, but hey, it's fun to pretend, right? I'm actually a big fan of magic. I love watching it on TV, stuff like that. I love seeing tricks and everything. Well, this next grave right here has, this gentleman right here had a huge hand in the magic industry. Check this out. And here's the grave of Lester Lake, otherwise known as the Great Marvolo. While you may not recognize the name Lester Lake, you'll probably know that some of his tricks, he invented over 300 magic tricks. So chances are you've probably seen some of the tricks that he's created, like the famous Guillotine Act and the Buried Alive Act. He also has 2 headstones, one over here and one right here. That was this was bought and paid for and donated by friends of his. But he traveled all over the world doing magic shows and stuff like that, and like Canada, Europe, Cuba, places like that. He sadly died in 1977. Now we push a little further north as the rain has kind of stopped for now. Hopefully it stays off for the rest of the time. We come back to a cemetery I've been before, but there's some graves I didn't get the first time, and which I did that on purpose, so I had a reason to come back and do this again. But what I didn't get the last time I was here was a beautiful entrance here at Crown Hill Cemetery here in Indianapolis. Look how awesome that is. Isn't that so cool? You know, when you come to Indianapolis, there are a few things that come to mind, like the Indianapolis Colts and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And here is the co-founder of the Indianapolis Speedway, his final resting place, Mr. Carl Fisher. The Motor Speedway was founded or opened in 1909, and Mr. Fisher didn't only just co-found the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but he helped build Miami Beach, and he also invented headlights for cars. So anytime you use your headlights for a car, you can thank Mr. Fisher for creating that. And I really like this, kind of a homage to the Brickyard. They got this patch of bricks right through here, and it's just like at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. They got a little strip of bricks right through there, and it's always a tradition that the drivers will go down there and they'll kiss the bricks. Of course, Crown Hill Cemetery is not just the final finish line for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway creator, but also many people who had a hand in the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, including drivers, mechanics, racing officials, and also well-known automaker families are laid to rest here too. Here's the final resting place of Mr. Fred Duesenberg. Mr. Duesenberg is credited for creating the 8-cylinder engine, and he's also credited with perfecting the overhead cam and the 4-wheel hydraulic brake system as well. He is also the creator of the luxury cars, Duesenberg, and also the race cars as well too. So if you've never heard of Duesenberg cars or anything like that, go look them up. They're really nice cars. Very flashy and very fast cars. If you're a fan of Disney and you know the movie Song of the South, which came out in the mid-late 40s, you'll recognize this next actor that I'm going to point out to you. Here's the final resting place of actor Mr. James Baskett, otherwise known as Uncle Remus from the movie Song of the South. Mr. Baskett is a native of Indianapolis, grew up here, lived here, and became an actor, and was always known for his role as Uncle Remus on Song of the South. Just a kind-hearted person, and sadly passed away in 1948 of a heart ailment. And from the way I read, that he had been suffering that ailment for, he'd not been feeling good for a long, long time. And he'd even been suffering that during his filming of Song of the South. So Song of the South also, I do believe, is the theme of the ride Splash Mountain in Disney. I think it's themed on Song of the South as well, which I think now they're changing it, changing the theme out completely, which I don't agree with, but there's a lot of controversy over that movie and stuff like that. So it's been a big issue of controversy over the years. And even Mr. Baskett didn't even go to the film premiere down in Atlanta, Georgia, because of the racial issues going on at the time. He wouldn't have been, being that he was not white, he wouldn't have been allowed to attend the festivities of that night. Also, right next to Mr. Baskett's grave is a little plaque, and talks about a little bit about that movie, and for which he won an Academy Award for that performance. So I think it's very great that they did that for him. So a few minutes ago, we was talking about the co-founder of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and I said there's other people laid to rest out here too that had a hand in that facility, like drivers, winners, mechanics, officials, people like that. Well, here's the first person, even though he didn't participate in Indy 500. Here's the first person to ever win a race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and that is Lovis Schweitzer. And I sure hope I said his last name correctly. Are you a fan of the movie Annie? The whole story about it and everything? Well, if you are, you can thank this gentleman right here, which lays to rest on the top of Crown Hill Cemetery, Mr. James Whitcomb Riley, otherwise known as the Hoosier Poet. James Whitcomb Riley was laid to rest here in 1917, and like I said, he's known as the Hoosier Poet. And children, he really affected children because he wrote stories and mainly for kids, and like Little Orphan Annie and The Raggedy Man, stuff like that. After he passed away, kids would throw coins. As you can see, a lot of people have thrown coins on top of his monument to help pay for his memorial. And ever so often they will come out here and they will scoop up all the coins and they donate it to his legacy, Riley's Children's Hospital. Now we find ourselves a little even more north Indiana, push up to Lafayette, Indiana. And while the rain has stopped, it has not gotten any warmer out here. It is still really cold. And speaking of crazy cold, how are these guys not cold? These ducks back here just swimming along in the pond like it's nothing. These fellows ought to be cold out there. It wouldn't be a good day to go swimming, that's for sure. But anyways, we got another famous grave up here that I wanted to show you. We're at Rest Haven Memorial Park here in Lafayette. And I just got water in my shoes, and that's really good. Always be careful where you step. But if you're afraid of clowns, maybe this one isn't the grave for you. But then again, he's not a scary clown. As a matter of fact, he's not even a happy clown. He's pretty much a sad clown. And here lies one of the most famous clowns, Mr. Emmett Kelly Sr. Emmett Kelly originally wanted to be a newspaper comic writer, wanted to write comics and cartoons for a newspaper. Unable to find any work doing that or any work with an animation studio, he began working in a circus, doing such things like as a chalk talk artist, which they would sit there and they draw pictures with chalk as he tells a story. He also was a trapeze artist, crazy enough. Then he created the sad hobo Weary Willie clown and just took off, and that's what he became famous for, was that sad hobo looking clown. Shifting gears a little bit, we're in West Lafayette now at the Tippecanoe Memory Gardens. And take a look at somebody that, I don't know if you want to call this person famous, but I kind of call this person famous. A famous-like grave, I guess. It's not a celebrity, not a musician or singer or rock star, but it does have something to do with a rock star. Check this out. This is the grave of Sharon Bailey. Now, who is Sharon Bailey? Well, I'm glad you asked. She is the mother of the lead singer of Guns N' Roses, Axl Rose. This is Axl Rose's mom, buried right here. And she was a lifelong resident of Lafayette, Indiana, which is where Axl Rose is from. He's from in this area. And she lived out through here pretty much her whole life. Went to college at Purdue University, got a bachelor's degree, and laid to rest right here. And of course, you can't talk about Axl Rose and being in Lafayette and not pay attention, or should I say not pay a visit to the childhood home of Axl Rose, which is right here, right behind me. Isn't that so cool? This is right here where he grew up at. For like the first, 19, 20 years of his life, that's where he lived. And rocked out right here in Lafayette. This is so cool. If you want to come out here, come right ahead. It's on right off the main highway out here. And down, 24th Street, I do believe. But don't go up there and hassle anybody. There's somebody actually does live there. And I wonder if they know about the history of that house, if they know that who grew up in that house. It'd be so cool to go in there. Well, we're on the outside now of Lafayette, kind of on the outside of a small town called Dayton, Indiana. I know you want to say Dayton, Ohio, but it's not Dayton, Ohio, it's Dayton, Indiana. Like I said, it's kind of on the outside of Lafayette, and it's still cloudy, and but hopefully there's no rain, because I would really like to keep my jeans dry today. And speaking of no rain and keeping my jeans dry today, there's somebody over here that kind of references to what I just said. And if you're a 90s person like me, grew up in the 90s, you're going to know who this next person is. Here's the final resting place of lead singer for the 90s band Blind Melon, Mr. Shannon Hoon. Shannon, of course, was popular with the band Blind Melon. I did 2 albums with him before his passing. But probably their most popular song is the song No Rain. Sadly, on October 1995, Shannon died of a drug overdose while he's on tour at the age of 28, joining a big list of musicians and singers that have died at an early age, unfortunately, to drugs. But you can see a lot of people have stopped by and paid their respects. You see people have dropped off a lot of coins. There's some candles here somebody has lit. A broom. I don't know what that signifies. Maybe there's something I've missed. Some kind of like rhinestone kind of things. I'm not really sure what that's about. And looks like somebody's name tag is stuffed down in there. I don't know what that's about. A couple of interesting pointers about Shannon Hoon was he was best friends with Axl Rose. And they grew up together, hung out a lot. And I think Shannon even did some background vocals on the Use Your Illusion album. Finally, on this last stop, we find ourselves even further north Indiana, about as far north as you could get, right smack dab in the middle of the University of Notre Dame. And yeah, there is a cemetery right here. Right as you come into the entrance of this college, they got a cemetery. It's very strange, ain't it? But to say the best for last, probably the most famous person I'm going to discuss in this video lies right over here. Here's the final resting place of TV personality Regis Philbin. Regis graduated from the University of Notre Dame in 1953 with a degree in sociology and did a lot of work throughout television and stuff like that throughout the years, but he will always be remembered for his show Regis and Kathy Lee and as the host of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Regis was also a veteran of the United States Navy as well as a supply officer. And sadly, Regis passed away of heart disease in July of 2020. Well, that's going to do it for me on this video, this famous grave tour. And look at these graves behind me. Every single one of these monuments are blank. Is that like supposed to be that way? Or maybe nobody's bought in those graves yet or something? I don't know. It's kind of weird, you know. It's kind of spooky to walk over here and see a bunch of monuments placed and nobody buried in these. Maybe there's a reason for that or something, or maybe they're just not been sold yet. I don't know. Maybe too expensive. But anyways, I want to thank you so much for joining me on these adventures, and I will have plenty more videos coming up this next year. So I hope you stay tuned, and if you enjoy it, please subscribe. That's going to do it for this video of my... That's going to do it for this video on my... That's going to do it for this famous grave tour. I hope you enjoyed it as well as I did. I know I had a lot of fun doing these videos. And check out these graves back behind me. Every single one of these markers are all unmarked out here. I don't understand all that. Maybe they're just reserved and just nobody's died yet to be placed in there or something. I don't know. It's just kind of weird to see these monuments out here and nothing written on them. Oh, like I said, maybe it's just reserved. Nobody's died yet that's reserved them, or nobody's bought the plots yet or something. I don't know. I mean, it could be too expensive too. I don't know. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. I know I had a blast making this video for you, and I will catch you guys next time. See ya.